What's going on, everyone? Hope all of you are doing well, and I'm back once again with another movie review. And today I'm going to be reviewing Lost Boys: The Thirst. This is the third film and the final film in the supposedly Lost Boys trilogy. Now, I will say this movie is a better step up from Lost Boys: The Tribe, but it still has its flaws. Um, the plot for this one is pretty simple. You have this young woman who hires Edgar Frog to kind of help her brother, who's been kidnapped. He's been kidnapped by this, vampire who has this underground rave where he basically turns everybody into vampires. But there's also this story about the very first vampire, and kind of ties into the story here, the story of this film. And just one thing leads to another, and yeah, what can I say about it? um Now, I will say this is a better step up, but it still has its flaws. I feel like this movie is definitely focused more on Corey Feldman, which I do like, and we kind of get an idea of what's going on with his life. And we have the actor who plays his brother, Alan Frog, who's a vampire. We do find out why he's a vampire, and I forgot to mention this in my review for Lost Boys: The Tribe. We do find out that Alan Frog becomes a vampire. We're not explained on why. We kind of get a glimpse of what he looks like at the end of Lost Boys: The Tribe, but in this one, it's completely different. It's like this film ignored, the events of the second film, but kind of tied in a few things. Now, at the beginning of this movie, like I said, we do get to find out why Alan became a vampire, and Edgar's been trying to do everything he can to hopefully save his brother. And once he finds out about this job, he tries to get his brother to help him. His brother's not really wanting to, because he's finding it harder and harder to control his thirst. And he tells him, what about Sam, Michael, Starr, and he does name drop a few of the characters from the original film. And Corey Feldman kind of explains what they're up to, and of course this came out around the time Corey Haim ended up passing away, so there was a nice little tribute to him, and then we get some flashback scenes to the original movie, so that was really nice. And with Edgar kind of struggling with everything, he has to sell his comic books. And then, of course, with being hired for this job, this is an opportunity to, keep his place. His place is under foreclosure. The bank's going to seize everything. So he's kind of struggling in a way, but also has the opportunity to possibly help him, you know, financially by saving this woman's brother. Of course, we get a twist with it. And yeah. Um, this movie, like I said, it's a step up, and you know I enjoyed it, but it has its flaws. Now, I feel like one of the biggest flaws is the story. I feel like the story is weak. I mean, I get what they were trying to go with. I get the twist, but just all in all, the just story felt weak and generic, and I feel like they could have done a little bit better with that. I feel like they could have given us more of references to the original on what everybody's been up to, instead of just name dropping. Now, as I stated, they kind of made it its own film, but took elements to make it a sequel to the second film. And one of these things is Corey Haim being a vampire, and the reason why his character is, you know, has passed in the film is because Edgar had to do what he had to. Basically, he states that, but they had to kind of incorporate that due to Corey Haim's actual passing. But I still like the fact that they were able to, have some type of tribute towards him. So that was nice on the director and the writer's part for the film. So they do. So I do give credit where credit is due. Now they kind of wanted to incorporate some werewolves into it, and you kind of get that at the end of the film, and kind of get like open up a potential fourth film, which it would be, a third sequel, but that did not end up happening, and I'm kind of glad it didn't happen. But you do have this little side character that Edgar knows, and you kind of get an idea of something's up with her throughout the film. But of course, we do find out she's a vampire, not a vampire, she's a werewolf. which I thought was pretty cool. But again, you know, they kind of opened it up for a potential sequel, but that didn't happen. And it's kind of weird because it's a straight to home video release. I mean, even if you wanted to, you could probably still do a sequel because you're not looking to release in theaters. You're not going to really lose that much money. I mean, there's a lot of movies out there that don't do well and they still tend to get a sequel, which just amazes me. But I feel like with this film and The Tribe, I feel like The Thurston Tribe are Lost Boys sequels that take place in a different universe. That's how I feel. So I feel like our Lost Boys film, the first movie, takes place in our universe, but another, well, not our universe, but the movie universe. I feel like that film takes place in its own universe compared to the sequels, where I feel like their first movie, Lost Boys movie, is a completely different story and things like that. I mean, it could be the same, but these sequels come in, I feel like, story-wise, character-wise, they're similar, but in a different universe, kind of like the multiverse in a way, is the best way I can sum it up. But yeah, Lost Boys The Thirst is, at least in my opinion, worth giving a watch. If you haven't seen it and you're curious about the sequels, give them a one-time watch. Otherwise, just avoid it. Excuse me, I feel like it's a film you can avoid and you're not going to miss out on anything. So, with that being said, I wish I could say more, but like the second film, it's, you know, there's not much to say about it. But let me know what your thoughts are on this movie. If you've seen it, I would love to hear your opinion. Give this video a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And with that being said, I'm Film Talk with Mikey, and until next time, we'll talk films.